get off the stage and turn it over to a dynamic duo.
Well, first of all, I'm very honored to be presented by this wonderful man and wonderful professor. So,
thank you.
Joe.
Thank you.
Hi. Thank you.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? I'm Josie, this is Pancho. And
And do you know where I'm called Poncho?
and we have like 20 minutes, right? So you're gonna like see. And everything in here, there's a lot of text in here, so you can always read it at a later date. It's gonna be posted for you guys. And this was like one of the most amazing experiences. Two photographers that do photography and teach photography, love teaching. And it all was nothing like we planned when we were down in Mexico. It literally, days before the semester started, everything changed. And we had to totally do something totally different in a blizzard.
But for me, it went better.
Yeah, it was good. Well, yeah,
Yes, it went better because they changed my course to history of photography, so it went better to do pinhole in history of photography, you know?
So that was like amazing. And I had never taught pinhole photography, and in my class, my black and white analog class was not going to be doing much digital. But we had to figure out a way to do this as a coil. So it was amazing. It was amazing. So the first few slides, I'll just show you a few things here.
We came with the name with my pinhole photography, mi fotografía estenopeica, like mi casa, su casa.
Which we started, we had to switch. Think on your feet.
Josie idea.
And I'm over in Genesee Community College, between Buffalo and Rochester.
And I'm in them, Monterrey, Mexico, near from southern Texas.
Yeah. So, you know, and this one here is what is the coiling a photography class, and the people that are involved with it, where we're at. What were our expectations coiling a class? Obviously, I mean, it's just an amazing experience, and all of you guys know about it. We're singing it to the choir at the last lecture. Get us students engaged with pinhole techniques. Most of my kids didn't know what it was, and yours?
Not at all.
Right? And getting them to be involved and interactive online. So, you know, like through all of our presentations, we had to figure out how to make this happen. So our modular one was to create a couple groups, have an icebreaker. We were using Google Drive and uploading some images so that the different people were seeing what different people were doing in the different universities. And we had some forms that they were filling out some information, and students were learning about each other that way. We all had to have them make a camera. They had no idea what they were doing. We had some examples. I had given a presentation as a PDF with an audio voiceover.
Yeah, PDF with voiceover, yeah.
And it was absolutely amazing. So taking like a cracker box, taking a shoe box. I had two nurses that always were primed and proper when they came into the darkroom, made these huge boxes that were amazing. One person took an iPhone 5 box and turned it into a pinhole camera. That was amazing.
But the best one, I don't know why, Steve Madden boxes, Steve Madden shoes boxes. I don't know why, but they're the best.
Yeah, yeah.
Even in Monterrey, you know.
So then the students started like making their pinholes and started to create the imagery and total different climates. Can I say anything more extreme than the total climate? We had snow days, we had campuses closing, we had feet of snow during class. I had 2 of 16 show up and they got one-on-one experience. Cameras out the window because it was a blizzard outside.
Well, you know, Monterrey, our weather is a little bit more warmer, you know.
So this was some of the comments of my students, like better weather. They also took more pictures of people than we did because our exposures inside were 45 minutes because it was just no light. Kayla had more light than we did in the winter, so their exposures are brighter. They captured people really well too.
So I think that we have to explain a little bit how a pinhole camera works because I saw some of your. Yeah, well, a pinhole camera is a box with a little pinhole, a little hole in it. You put photographic paper. The standard is to use black and white paper. Inside,
in the dark room.
In the dark room, you put the paper, and only because the hole it comes the camera oscura, like Leonardo da Vinci used, and so it's one.
Well, it's like when the light comes through the tiny little pinhole through a long exposure, no lens. it recorded on a photographic paper on the backside. So then the kids would take the pinhole camera back into their darkroom, and I have some images of that, and you do as well. And so we would show that. So these are just a couple of the cameras that they had generated. But we have to keep going here.
Yeah.
So after they took their pictures and they shared, so I love this one. Okay.
They had the chance to stop them, but no. To see each other pictures.
Okay, so now I think this is where you're on.
Yeah. So how do we do it? You know, there had to be some methodology because, but at this point, we are already in work, you know? So just talking what come to our minds, of course not. I recommend Joe, and then we came into this idea to use visual literacy to, you know, for you people in US, I think that you are working on that, but in Mexico we are nothing about it. We didn't, so few people knows about visual literacy in Mexico. So I like to, from time to time, came with this idea, with this concept to my students. So the thing is that we know how to read a picture, how to read an image, you know, but sometimes we doesn't know why. We do it by pure intuition, you know, but we have to make it conscious in order to learn and in order to make some pictures, you know. So this is a lot of concept to overview, where your eyes looking at the picture, light values, bright or not so bright, something like that. The foreground and background, the focus, is it focused in the first or the second, and in the foreground and the background, the detail, the gaze, trying to figure it out how the photographer is looking at, and the frame or the cropping, because you know, when you take a picture, you have to decide who is going to be in the picture and who doesn't, you know, and what do you show and what do you decide not to show. So here's one that Val said. This was one of my nurses, and it was his first and only time she took a photo class. Learn how to photos were originally taken before technology brought about cameras. It's amazing how you can capture something with a tiny little hole in a box with some photographic paper. And I mean, they were blown away when this thing actually worked that they made. So my students, there's the feedback of my students. So through time, as there is progress, we have forgotten how the complexity to take photographs with this camera, the pinhole, and constant practice, we became to appreciate more deeply the importance of photography in our lives. By practicing with a pinhole camera, we have realized how difficult it was for our ancestors to capture a moment in which, from the factors of light, diaphragm, waiting time, and developing process, and of most importance, we have to have a record any social or historical event. Something we found very interesting is how people from UNC Community College present their photographs. It looks like they took the time to framing them and show them in an exhibition, because Joe have it, and it helps to perform an analysis of the images and giving feedback to each other. And we have learned the different factors that make influence in the capture of an image, such as light, exposure, angle, movement, even taking care of the landscape that we are choosing, and place and the place and the time of the day as well. And we have to be aware of all of this to make better photographs. So this was in Genesee Community College, and Pancho got up early in the 9:30 in the morning to 11:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Pancho got up at 7 in the morning to do a Skype, and a good portion of the 16 students in my class had never seen a Skype experience, and that in itself was amazing. And so Pancho talked about modernism and things of that nature, so it was really quite fun. And you know, as the experience was going on, I'm telling my students to just photograph everything. Pull out your cell phones, just play, have a full 9 yards. I'm talking with them, and Pancho's behind me, and he's like doing this stuff while I'm lecturing in my class. I figured out where Joe's video given. And then I turn around, and there's my partner, right? So this is my group of students in the dark room. We have 18 enlargers in there, and this was the first assignment they had. This first assignment took 8 weeks. Okay, by the time from start to finish, and so this was my class picture of all of my students inside when it was a snowing blizzard, like 12 degrees outside, and that was the best I could do. Next. So then we went back and we started making cameras, and this is one of my alternative students type of thing. So he's in there, he's helping students out, and we were like engaged and having all this kind of stuff happen. These are the 2 ladies with the shoe boxes, which was amazing. Told you.
And then we had a critique of the work, and then they were all holding their cameras that they had as well.
Well, this is a video that I made of my students.
Awesome.
It is awesome.
Bueno, para mí es la como intriga de saber cómo va a salir, o sea, al final la foto, porque no sabes, no estás muy seguro de la composición y mucho menos de la iluminación, porque cada vez cambia. Y pues sí, yo creo que más que nada eso, ver ya la imagen al final me satisface más cuando sale bien que una digital.
Mi parte favorita es la parte del revelado. Es cuando te das cuenta si salió bien la foto, si estaba bien la iluminación, etcétera.
El proceso, o sea, yo creo que es el proceso que se lleva en general, porque le metes mucho más cariño que a una digital que es y luego la pasas a la computadora y ya. Acá ahorita son 10, 15 minutos de, ponle que 5 preparando de que la composición más o menos de que dónde la vas a creer, luego 10 en lo que se toma y luego llegar otra vez al laboratorio, sacar la foto y empezarlo a revelar otros 10 minutos. Hasta ya verla te tardas 30 minutos, cuando en una digital eso lo puedes hacer en 30 segundos. Bueno, también desde antes de sacarla, antes de poner la foto, desde que centrarla, hacer la cámara también, que todo esté perfecto, que no se le filtre ni tantito de luz. Entonces sí, en general es la atención que se le da, el cuidado, cariño, para que todo salga bien y no sabes si va a salir bien.
Está súper para trabajar con una pinhole, uno, porque está saliendo de lo común, dos, porque aprecias más la foto. Como mi papá trabaja en cosas de video y de foto y todo eso, cuando le enseñé cuando me salieron las fotos, hasta él me dijo que le enseñara sobre la técnica, porque está súper interesante, y segundo, son fotos que valen muchísimo más. También para el proceso, o sea, no solamente la pones en una computadora y la puedes editar como tú quieras. Tienes que ir a un laboratorio, ver cómo te sale, también saber todos esos tiempos de dejarla para revelarla y luego para sellarla. Entonces sí, está mucho más padre, aprender a tomar fotos con una pinhole.
Great conversation happening there. So on the next slide, when all of this was being planned out last September, there was a scholar symposium scheduled for our campus in March. So I kind of combined all of these assignments, and this is what it took it so long. So we had a show in the library, and my students took one of their favorite 4 photographs and learned how to frame and map, and there is not an app for how to use a ruler. And so I teach my kids in the dark, and I teach them how to play with razor blades. It's awesome. So on this one, Pancho sent to us digital files. So we had the digital files playing on the side. And when we had this scholarship symposium, look what we won. Awesome, right? So there were only like 6 awards given, and we got this one, which was the most global and perspective award. And everybody loved the show. So these, the students had their photograph, and then they had 100 words that they had. And there's a lot of stuff here, so you can look at it at a later date. This is a student, Esther, who had her hand there for 10 minutes. There's all of these are inside. Keep going. Yeah. Here is the shoebox outside in the snowstorm. This was the student didn't know that you had to put the box down somewhere, so he's like walking around. But then when he got it, he was like amazed. So my students were photographing out the window, like, dude, go outside and get in it. And they're like, oh God, there's a snowstorm going on. So I had my boots and I put my jacket, I sludged through the snow, that's me. And I told the student, when you're done with your 2-minute exposure, wave like this on the 2nd floor, and I'll move, right? So she did her thing, and she's waving, and I just stood there to see how long she was just gonna do jumping jacks to get my attention. And I was just like, oh! So then I come back, and the door that I went out was blocked, and I had to walk halfway around campus in a snowstorm. And she's like, where did you go? And I had like an inch of snow on me when I came back in. This is one of my pinholes, because that's what I do. So this is the Niagara River, and I go boating over that way. And maybe I can get you out there, I don't know.
Yeah. This is the very first picture of my students that came up. So they were like, wow, they're amazing with the picture. and wow, really? It happens? Actually, the pictures came up in negative. So we have to put it in a camera, in a cell phone to make it positive. So this one is really great because it's an indoors. I have this student, this girl who is the only one to make this indoor photography about like 7 minutes. For us, it's like a lot because we have a lot of light. So, this is the Centro Roberto Garzazada, the School of Visual Arts and Design and Architecture. It's our most iconic building, then. So the thing is, I get mad because people get rid of the selfies, get rid of taking picture of yourselves. But well, at the end, it came to like something that the people from Batavia found interesting. That they're taking pictures of people and we're not. So okay, came some kind of a dialogue. So there's statue in the campus. I have really good students. The thing is, I have people from high school, from architecture, from graphic design. I have and also some others for arts, for the art school. So there are plenty of them, and your students find this is very attractive because they see a palm tree. Oh, a palm tree! Really?
They were freaking out. My students were like, "Wow! They have T-shirts on." And so that's our contact for our information. So, it was an amazing experience. The technology and all of the things that we're basically using like 160 years of photography in one assignment. From making a camera to a pinhole to processing in a darkroom to scanning it somehow to get it on the internet and using all the communication kind of experience.
So, thank you. Any questions?
Yourself on track. Yes.
So your class was the history of photography. So you guys kind of won't use this as a launch pad to discuss how photography progressed, how
Yeah.
it evolved, how the lenses were developed.
And also I had these ideas of the philosophical basis of modernity, on how it evolved, like the most iconic common art from the positivism.
So then did you tie that piece into the book, or was it just
No.
photography piece? Like,
Oh,
I was going to say, like, you could have maybe,
Well-
was there any reflection between the groups about that progression of the narrative?
No, but in my STEM presentation, I give that lecture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What kind of connections did the students make cross-culturally? Did you use Facebook as well?
We were using Google Docs and Google Drive and posting the images there, and they were looking at them and trying to get them to send emails and add to the Google Docs and have the exchange. Definitely, it's something that I want to revisit and make it more embedded. It didn't always go as smooth as possible. At one point, I have to say this, at one point, a lot of the Google Docs documents disappeared. Like a lot. And and we were like trying to find out where did all the images go and where did all the Google Doc information goes. I'll let you describe what happened.
A student of mine download the application in his computer, and suddenly we're freaking out because I'm running out of space.
So he thought he was downloading a copy, but he literally downloaded everything and filled up his hard drive. So he didn't put it back. He just hit delete. So we had a lot of back, and I had all my students put it back up, and it certainly is something that you learn through the experience of it all.
The first time I had to make it like a presentation of how to use Google Docs.
And definitely, I mean, again, you kind of assume, when I believe in some of the other lectures, you assume that they know what's going on with this stuff, and they don't. And I have computers in front of me in my classroom. I'm like, here's 10 minutes. Fire out some emails, add something to the thing, and I was assuming, and I wasn't checking always, and then I went back and I'm like, you guys definitely got to do some more work on this end. So, but they definitely looked at the photographs and had a lot of exchanges on that level. We learned through the process. It was most definitely an interesting experience. And I just found out that he was taking photographs with a cell phone and inverting it. Really?
Yeah.
You weren't making the second generation in the darkroom?
No.
Oh, I gotta teach you that one.
No, I know how to do it, but
La 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 la.
I know how to do it. You told me. You just take a picture and you told me that.
I taught him that. But then again, yours was more digital. So.
Yeah.
Some other question. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Here, and it was really fun. I just understand how the collaboration came out, because I understand that both groups did the pinhole either in winter or even they came out with one program works. But how did actually they work together? I understand the part of Google Docs and sharing and the big part.
They were not working as well together as we would have liked.
Yeah.
They were being more observant, looking at the other, and especially towards the end of my session, when all of the work came together for the show, and then some feedback was coming to your class after they saw that, because that was really when we started seeing some of the final photographs. And you learn through the experience. So definitely, it was a learning experience.
Yeah. We have to polish this end.
So actually, both groups like feedback on another end.
Well, I think we have to. The thing is, we are both really busy. And Josie is like a 10 or 14 hours a day working, and a day and giving classes. So we are really busy to engage a platform of like Facebook or something like that. But we have to polish this end, definitely.
And I have some things that I potentially can think about in terms of cyanotype prints, where you lay something on the photographic paper, where you don't need a darkroom and you can process it out in the sun, things of that nature. Also, our initial COIL project was a digital assignment, and we still have that in the back.
Yeah.
And whatever his final classes are, I have 2 classes that I can swap out. Type of thing.
Yeah, and I was talking with my director and my boss, and he told me, well, maybe for the fall you can take this another class, our photography project, and maybe we could COIL this one a new different class, Okay? Yes, that's an excellent example of something that can share back and forth. And I don't have a problem having them make a print and then everyone gets a portfolio, or making a portfolio and sending it down to Mexico so it can be exhibited, just like having it come up our way. And so that's definitely something that we, because I know you have space that you can reserve. Yes.
No, I have 2 places on my campus where
my ex-boss saw the pictures. We have to make an exhibition.
Right.
We definitely make an exhibition of our pictures and pictures from Josie's students.
Right. And also, I'd like to come back down there again.
Oh yeah, for sure.
See if something can happen.
We will have you.
I know. Palm trees. So, any other questions?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Yes.
Did the Genesee students and the UDEM students approach visual literacy from different perspectives? Did you tell?
From my perspective, I think Pancho had a lot more flexibility because they were able to go a lot farther. I mean, that's way outside, their darkroom is in that building. And my students barely went from here to the lobby. I had a couple students. One student was making 45-minute exposures. I had them download apps for their phones so they could use a light meter, so that they could get a general sense of how much light was out there. And once they had a number, they could figure out how to make an exposure. And after doing that and bringing it back, I got them down to making an exposure of 1 second. They were doing 45 minutes, black piece of paper was coming out, getting frustrated, down to 1 second.
But this Thursday, I'm gonna visit Genesee Community College, and we will have this interaction. I will have this interaction with this
meeting, and I put them on the spot. I'm like, the professor from Mexico is coming to critique your next assignment. And they're like, really? They were like shocked. They were shocked. And I says, I've been telling you this for weeks. So they're on.
And I think we will find your answer on Thursday.
Most definitely. So, yes.
Just following up on these questions, I'm not trying to persuade you. Are you saying that your students in Genesee want to go very far to explore the landscape?
Yes.
And his went much farther.
Much farther.
And the question is, which I know you can't really answer, why?
On my end, I would definitely say the weather didn't help. And when we did have better weather, we were starting to shift into other assignments because it was already taking up almost half the semester by the time we had the show. And what did I learn out of that? I definitely learned that I need to engage them to get out and do more. And our light in Rochester is, in the area is gray flat at that time of year, just gray flat. And you have a lot more variations and options. They go outside, it's either the parking lot or cornfield or the brick building.
The water.
The clock tower.
Yeah, this clock tower, my students, this thing is repeating another pictures.
So trying to get them more out and more guidance in terms of what they photograph, because I certainly would like my students to try doing a portrait of another student so that they get that, because that literally there might have been 2 or 3 portraits of a person in my group. So it was awesome. Yeah, it was an awesome experience, but you certainly learn from every one of these types of things, and that's what it's all about. Thank you again so much. Thank you. Thank you. We did it. Yay! Yay!
Again. El flash es que fue esta tarde.
All right, let's a moment.